Quads versus triangles. What I want to do is show you why triangles are kind of bad in my workflow. Now, I'm not saying they're not bad in everybody's workflow, just when I go into Maya, I'm under the impression that later on I'm going to do something with the mesh that might later on, if it has a triangle in it, be bad. Like I'm going to go to ZBrush maybe, and a ZBrush accepts a very uniformed geometry. So this is uniformly spaced geometry in both X and Z. It has uniform spaces between polygons. Now over here what I did is I inserted a triangle, okay, which in all aspects isn't, it's still legit geometry. But if I was going over to ZBrush, what'll happen is, let's select both of these, or just select one, and in ZBrush what happens is when I go to divide this up, it's going to have this, okay? So this is a very awkward scenario where I have an extraordinary vertice appear. Now, an extraordinary vertice is when 5 edges come together into one point, and that's an extraordinary vertice. So it divided okay, but the extraordinary vertice is going to lead to sculpting issues later on. Now, that's not true is if I get like a million polygons here, am I going to really notice the difference between an extraordinary vertice versus a non-extraordinary vertice? No. But when you go to process your normal maps and your height maps and everything else, you're going to probably notice more problematic stuff happen on non-uniform geometry. Okay, this one's going to bump out correctly. This one's going to have evil sculpting issues, and the normal map generation is going to be a little bit harder in that area because light now has to focus, or normals have to now be calculated across 5 different faces instead of 4 different faces for that vertice. Okay, so that's nerd stuff, but just know triangle's bad, at least in my workflow. And that's why I kind of want to go through the whole entire system and show you, different techniques of modeling. But without knowing that, it's a really hard concept to kind of get a hang of. Like here's another scenario right here. So in this case, I have taken and chamfered a face, and when I go into Go Z, 4 more faces detected. So in this case, I wouldn't be able to even go into Go Z. Why? Because, well, if you count up the edges on some of this stuff, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 doesn't work. It has to be 4 or 3. So if you're playing around and not knowing what you're going to be doing and making this giant awesome robot and then automatically want to go into a different program later on, you won't be able to because you never knew what good geometry versus bad geometry was. Alright, so that's quads versus tris, and let's go on to the next videos.